I went to the first Road to VA Quilt Show in June of 2025. This was also my first big quilt show. Today we're talking about how the trip went, and it was wild, and what I bought, and was it worth it? So I live in the central New York area, and my mom and I headed out about 7 a.m. to drive down to Virginia. It ended up taking quite a while, but my GPS told me it was going to take 7 hours. So the trip was going great until about 2 hours in, my 2017 Jeep Grand Cherokee that's been so good to me decided, nah, I'm good. Even though it's 100 degrees outside, I don't think the air conditioning is going to work anymore. That's quite the bummer on a 8+ hour road trip in a heat wave. So that sucked. And that's my own fault because I paid the car off. So now I own it. So I feel like that's just what happens when you finally own a car, is that everything starts to break. It was literally 100 degrees. We were stuck in traffic driving through like that Virginia, DC area. And the thermometer on my car hit 100 on the outside, not on the inside. It probably was 100 on the inside too. At one point in traffic, we were literally stopped next to a garbage truck. Our windows were down. I almost just gagged thinking of the smell. So we were parked in this like 4 lanes of traffic, stuck, garbage truck right there. Brutal. I did stop at a gas station and paid way too much money for like a fan that clipped in, went into the charger in the car and clipped onto the visor. It didn't do great, but it was better than nothing. Absolutely brutal. That was the worst part of the trip, and thankfully, everything else was up the hill from there. So then we were driving into Richmond, and you know that noise? I'm going to see if I can find a version of it online to insert into the video, but if not, you know that noise? It's like, the National Weather Service has an alert, and I thought, I've only ever heard that for real and like test. Like I've never actually heard that be a weather alert. No, as soon as we're driving into Richmond, there's a flash flood warning. So we've been roasting in the car, stuck in traffic for hours. It ended up taking us 10 hours to get there. And as soon as we pull in, there's a flash flood warning. But I will say that we didn't get hit in the rain and we didn't get hit in the flood. So it was just we dodged it. So that was great. We got to the hotel. The hotel was great. We stayed at the hotel that was right next to where the convention was. And so that was really nice and convenient because we could walk there. And once we understood how the parking worked, that was easy too. The first night I did valet, even though it was pretty expensive. And then we self-parked after that. So that was all good. That was great. So the first night we finally got in after literally melting, avoiding a flash flood warning, and settled in, got some room service burgers that were actually delicious, and went to bed. The next morning, I woke up and called a bunch of garages to see if I could get in and get my air conditioning fixed. And they said, it's been a heat wave. Everybody has broken air conditioning. And I couldn't get in until after we had already left to come home. So that was a bit of a bummer. But we said, I'll worry about that later. Let's go enjoy our first day of the quilt show. So that's what we did. So we went over and we looked at all the amazing quilts. And I have a whole video on walking through the quilt show that I'll link here. And the quilts were amazing. So this was my first big quilt show. So this seemed really big to me. Like I've done like my local quilt guild at like a local church, but I've never done like a big quilt show. So it seemed quite big to me, but it was still like a little smaller in my head than I thought it was going to be. And it was probably more vendors than quilts, which was fine. I actually had a ton of fun walking around the vendor area, which I wasn't anticipating. They do say this was their first year, and I do think that they will be making it bigger. So that will be great to look forward to in the future. So it was very fun for me to see some quilts from QuiltCon. There was a tribute to the homeland, like this African quilt section, which was beautiful and had a lot of amazing quilts. There was just a variety of different types and styles. There was even really old quilts there from on loan from a museum, and there was one there that I'll find the picture and put up on the screen that I was absolutely inspired by and went back to time and time again, which really surprised me. And so I wonder if a quilt inspired by this one will be in my future. But it was absolutely wonderful. So many interesting quilts, and got to chat with so many lovely people. So it was pretty early in the morning and we were going for a quick water break, and I ran into the lovely and sweet So Blessed by Jess. We got the obligatory selfie. And so we got to chat with her for just a few minutes and her daughters, and it was great to see her. And she's exactly like you would think from watching her videos in person. So it was so great to meet her. And so that was my highlight of that day. And then we continued through the show and headed back to the room about 4 o'clock when I didn't win the sewing machine that I wanted to win, maybe 3:30. So then thankfully, my mom's friend gave me the idea that maybe I should YouTube a video of fixing the air conditioning and see if I could do it myself. I did. So I YouTubed it and I was like, you know what? I can do this. Whatever. So I took the YouTube video and I found the supplies I needed at a Walmart, drove to the Walmart, and believe it or not, I fixed my AC in the parking lot of a Walmart, and that was wild. The only bummer is I had slightly pulled a calf muscle and I had to stand on my tippy toes to fix my air conditioning because I'm a little too short to reach. And so I really pulled it quite badly after that. And I'm still it's a week later and I'm still limping around a little bit. But other than that, I am super thrilled. I was so excited that I fixed the air conditioning, and a week later, it's still working. So the drive home was much nicer. And then my mom and I got some Chinese food and it was amazing. The next day, we head back to the show. I didn't go too crazy shopping the first day. I just wanted to kind of take a lap around. I did buy some thread and stuff. I'm going to show you what I bought in a minute. And then the second day is when I got some more of my bigger purchases. So first up, I met up with Sean from The Guy Who Sews. We walked around the entire vendor area together. It was so fun chatting and looking at all the stuff with him. And then as we were kind of chatting and getting ready to say our goodbyes, Ian and Becca, I'll put their channels below, but I'm sure you know them if you watch quilting videos, came up because they recognized Sean. And so got to say hello to them. And now I'll start to talk about my haul. So some of the things I got from the show included stickers. First, some of them came from Ian and Becca. So let me find them. So you might not be able to see these, so I'll put pictures, but Becca put her stickers right in this little envelope, which was so cute. And then Ian had 2 very cute stickers as well. And these 2 stickers were in addition to a few that I bought. So I'll put some pictures up on the screen, but I got one that says, if you see me with a seam ripper, it's not the time. And I got one that says, I sew because poking people with needles is frowned upon. So those are very cute. And then I also got myself just a little sewing machine. I think I might decorate my new laptop with some of my stickers. And so and then the last sticker I got was for my car, and it says, in my quilting era. So I'm excited to stick that on the back of my car. And then kind of in that novelty department of what I got this little car coaster. So it's looks like a quilt and goes into your cup holder in your car it's an absorbent stone. But I just wanted to add a little quilting flair to my car. And then I think if you were watching any of my lives, you know that I was mostly interested in looking at different types of thread while I was there, which I did. So I got this, what does it say? Superior Threads glitter thread in, of course, a sparkly pink. And I got a Superior Threads 40 weight variegated, this rainbowy color, which I think will be great. And I have some quilts that I want to quilt with a variegated thread. So I'm excited to try this out. And then I got this Dazzle 8 weight. This is by Wonderfill. And I think this one might go, it's a metallic rayon and there's 5 spools. And I think this might actually go into your bobbin. So I cannot wait to try that. But I have to Google each of the things. Of course, the people that you're buying from are so wonderful and they're giving you all these tips and tricks. But oh my God, I can't remember. You guys know me. I can't remember anything. So I'm excited to try out those new threads. So then I stopped at another little shop that was selling tools. And I think I'm missing something I bought. So I'll have to go back through my bags. I think I bought a little, those mascara wands to clean the machine. But then I also got this magnetic wand if I drop a pin, one of these little rollers for when I'm doing FPP and I don't want to get up to get my iron. And then this was a little seam ripping kit. So just some standard stuff that I've never bought and have always wanted to get. All right, now we're getting into some of the fun stuff. So I also got, and I'll put a picture on the screen, a bunch of little zipper pulls of different, some gnomes and a unicorn and a bee and just fun little zipper pulls that I don't really have a store around me that sells this kind of thing. So I was pretty excited to see that. And then a craft that I'm very excited to try out has been Sashiko. I think it looks so interesting and it's going to be very interesting to learn about the culture. This is a Japanese stitching if I'm not wrong. I believe all of the stuff is imported from Japan, so I'm like pretty sure about that. And I met this lovely woman from, let me see the name. I wanted to specifically remember her name. I think I have her card somewhere too. From Pinwheels, pinwheels.com. She was amazing and had so many supplies. And if I'm remembering correctly, she said her husband was from Japan. So, and you know, this was like a passion of hers. So I got a few things. First, I got this all-inclusive kit that is a Sashiko cloth kit, and it's these little flowers, and it comes, and it's pretty neat. All the stuff on the back is in Japanese. So it's got some instructions, and it's got the cloth and the needle, and I think all you need is like scissors and an iron. So pretty excited to give this one a go. And then I also got a separate panel that just caught my eye. It's a Christmas panel, which I'm not usually a Christmassy kind of girl, but this looked pretty cool. So I'm excited to try that. And I got some white thread to do it in, and I got some needles and a little stitching book. So again, the woman that I met was so wonderful. We chatted for quite a while. And so if this is something you're interested in, I would totally recommend going to pinwheels.com to check her out and buy your supplies from her. Okay, now the two bigger purchases I made. One is this laser, which I haven't taken out of the box and used yet. It is a laser that you put on your machine to help with your 1/4 of an inch or whatever seam allowance you want. So once I get that hooked up, I'll let you know how it works and if I like it. And the second item I got is a sew light, and it is an LED light that it's very small, but it's very bright. He gave a really great demo. We met the owner of the company, and he was very passionate about the lighting and the colors of the lighting and where you source the bulbs from. So he knew what he was talking about, and I got their latest and greatest model that is a dimming model. So I'm going to also try to install that this weekend, and I will let you know how it goes. So I am super excited with my purchases. I didn't go too crazy. I mean, I did not plan on buying a laser or a light, but I'm really excited for those purchases. I'm really glad I got the Sashiko and the thread. That was really great to see in person. That's some of those things you don't really get to take a look at in person. I didn't want to go crazy buying thread online until I got to see what it looked like. The only thing I was disappointed I didn't get to go in is there was a booth there that was selling hand needles, and there was a display of all the different needles, and you could take a look and see what you liked and what you want to try. But that booth was jam-packed. So I didn't really get to go in and take a look, but I will look for that in the future. Yeah, so overall, was the trip worth it? Yeah, I got to spend time with my mom. I got to figure out that I could fix my car on my own. Don't need no stinking man. Don't need no stinking mechanic. Would have been nice to have a man or a mechanic to do it for me, though. It was absolutely wonderful meeting. So blessed by Jess and Sean, and Becca and Ian were lovely as well, but I had no prior connection to them. So it was a nice little bonus, but it was super exciting meeting Jess and Sean. And I'm excited, and I got to see a lot of beautiful quilts. I got inspired. I got my Sashiko kit. I'm really, really pleased with the trip. I'm really glad. My mom was on her very best behavior, so I told her that maybe she can come back to me with QuiltCon. No, she will definitely come back to me with QuiltCon if she's interested. She says she is. She's not a quilter, but she's thinking about making a quilt, so I'm kind of excited for that. I will not be returning to Quilt Road to VA next year, but I think I am going to go in 2 years if they're still doing it in the 3rd year. Next year, I do plan to go to QuiltCon, so that is exciting. So, did you go to Road to VA? What did you think? What did you think about what I got? Did I go crazy? Did I do okay? What do you think? So, yes, that was our trip. Was it worth it? Yes. Will I go again? For sure. Will I ever drive through DC and Virginia again? Hell no. I will be taking the long way around. But overall, I had a really wonderful time. Oh, and I want to give one special shout out to my mom's friend who loaded us up with snacks, Oreos, and all kinds of things. That made the road trip. Those Oreos came in clutch on the way home at 10 o'clock when I was super tired. And so shout out to you. Thank you. If you want to see all those quilts that I was talking about, here's the link to the video, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.